Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff Mom Never Told You, production of iHeartRadio.
And happy Valentine's Day, Anney.
Yes, to you as well. I'm sad because we have a tradition of spending it together.
I know. I can't believe we're not together on this occasion. But yes, it is February 14th today, and we wanted to shout out to you all of those Valentines, if you so celebrate. If you don't, we get that too. But we are going to celebrate by talking about the amazing Black women who continue to break records and make history and push the boundaries. And though the list could go on and on and on and on, we picked a few to focus on today. And you know what? We had to start with the queen herself, Queen Bee, Beyonce.
Yes.
Am I right? And Beyonce is, of course, one of the biggest legends today. We even say on Beyonce's internet, how dare you? You know, because she owns all the things. I'm sure it'll be Blue Ivy soon. So it shouldn't be too surprising that she would be a world record breaker. Beyonce became the most awarded Grammy winner as of 2023 with an amazing 32 Grammy wins. And not only that, she and her hubby, Jay-Z, just in case you didn't know, tied for most nominated musical act in history with 88 nominations. So, yeah, just to say they make some good music is an understatement. But of course, because we can't have nice things, we can't ignore that once again, Beyonce was snubbed for Album of the Year, which, by the way, have only been given to 3 Black women in all the entire history of the Grammys. So that feels like a smack in the face, but I digress. This year, more than half of the nominees were women, and more than half were people of color as well. So small victories for the Grammys. Let's hope that they will do some better, as many have actually boycotted it because of what seems to be favoritism. But hey, you know, whatever.
Yes. Well, speaking of singing icons, Ashanti is out there breaking records too, but not in entertainment, though we have to take a minute to remember that she was in the Guinness Book of World Records for fastest selling debut album by a female artist in 2002, but she has broken another record, and this time in tech. Ashanti is the first Black female artist to be a co-founder of a Web3 or a Web 3.0 company, which are social media platforms that, quote, are an idea for a new iteration of the World Wide Web, which incorporates concepts such as decentralization, blockchain technologies, and token-based economics, or platforms that aim to, quote, improve user experiences by helping creators own and monetize their content and giving them more control over their data. This is sort of beyond our pay grade, but it sounds like a lot of stuff that's going on. And many have talked about the interconnectedness of tech and entertainment, including the overall power of owning your own content, or for creators, owning your own content. In an interview about her new venture, Ashanti says, quote, I want to continue to do things like this and have these conversations to continue to spread the narrative, continue to use the platform and become the vessel and say, hey guys, it's so important to own your intellectual property. You know, like we come up and we set the trends with these dances for TikTok or for Instagram and all of these tutorials. I feel like creating awareness and understanding that ownership is so powerful is essential.
Absolutely. And that will be interesting to watch to see if this will take off and actually help content creators who are trying to navigate this new space. And though this isn't necessarily a world record breaker, we have to talk about the all-Black women's World War II unit who finally received the Congressional Gold Medal. So in 1944, the Women's Army Corps had more than 140,000 women serving, including at least 6,500 Black women. And there we have the 6,888th Company, made up of 850 Black women, who was led by Army Major Charity Adams. And yes, this was one of the companies that had, I think, 5 different companies put together. And their story is fascinating. They went through basic training, including obstacle courses and drills. They studied enemy aircraft and weapons and endured marches. And they actually were deployed to England, and I believe they were the only crew to be deployed, where they were faced with a daunting task of handling the backlog of mail. So that was a pretty big deal. Apparently, without the correspondence, morale was low, as well as the mere lifeline of the communication between organizations like the Red Cross all around the world. So once they arrived, they went straight to work, reducing the time to complete the work from 6 months to half that time, which was amazing. They worked in shifts 24 hours a day and cleared about 17 million pieces of mail. And once they got finished there, I think they traveled to other places to help organize that as well. Of course, this wasn't the only work these companies did, and the hardships they endured as they sacrificed for their country were vast, including losing people during that time. But they kept in contact and had many reunions throughout their life. And they've had dedications and ceremonies for their courageous work. But it wasn't until last year, 2022, that they were given the honor of the Congressional Gold Medal. And I believe a few of the women were still alive to actually get those medals.
Well, that's good, at least. And speaking of awards, Nigerian athlete Goodness Nwachukwu set a world record in 2022 for breaking the world record, twice actually, at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, England. And Goodness, who already held the record, broke her record for women's discus throw event, throwing it 36.56 meters. During the medal ceremony, Goodness said, "I couldn't believe that I broke my world record twice. I am so happy. Before the event, I thought if I can get a silver or bronze, I am okay with that, rather than go back empty-handed. But I didn't believe that I could make it to the top. I felt nervous beforehand. It has been so nice to be here."
Yes. And she is a Paralympic winner, and I think she's also a para-canoe athlete. So it's really exciting to see. I did get to see a clip of her breaking that record and the victory that happened. So it was really amazing as her team cheered her on. And moving on to more athletes, for the first time in history, an all-Black women's team competed in the Charles Regatta in 2022 in Boston. And the team included founders of Rowing in Color, Denise Aquino, and Patricia Destine. And history maker Daphne Marchenko, who was the first Black rower in the boat race in 2015. And yeah, this is kind of a big deal, but really sad that it took till 2022 for this to happen. And of course, when we talk about rowing, I don't know much about it. Anney, do you know much about it?
I was involved in it in college, but that's the extent of my knowledge. Yeah.
Well, what I gather, especially when you get involved in regattas and all of this, is a fairly privileged sport. And with that, of course, it does have some gatekeeping components to it, so that it took till 2022 to even have an all Black women's team. It's sad, but not completely surprising. And in their response of being the first in the race, they said, "It's time that a lot of those firsts are not based off racial or, religious backgrounds. It should be based off the records that we break, more like 2000s or 5000s. That's what we rode for." Aquino goes on to say, "I look forward to the day when this isn't an exciting moment. I look forward to when this is just a normal day in rowing." And of course, I think that's a big conversation in itself, but we do want to celebrate that they were able to break those barriers, and they continue to do so. And it's something that they are passionate about. And if you want to hear more about what they're doing and how they continue to break down barriers in rowing, Rowing in Color is a podcast that started early January 2020 by Aquino and Destine. So you should definitely take a listen. They talk a lot about diversity and accessibility in their podcasts.
Yeah, very cool. And speaking of, lastly, we're a little late on this one, as this world record holder was reported in 2021, but we did want to celebrate Linda Gilroy because Gilroy holds 2 world records for her collection of LCD gaming systems and 2,430 playable gaming systems. And her collection is extensive, including Tiger Electronic handhelds and apparently every game Nintendo released in North America. And not only that, but, you got to have your Pac-Man tabletop machine. Yes. Her love started at 8 years old when she found a 1979 red conic baseball game, which was broken at the time, but she took the time to fix it so that she could play with it. And even with a fire that made her start over with her collection, she has amassed an impressive collection in its stead. And all of it seems to be in working order, all the games there. Gilroy is an electrical engineer and kept collecting as an adult, not only because she didn't have these games as a child, but to beat her own high scores. Mm-hmm.
You know about that, don't you, Anney?
Oh, yes. There's no doubt she is an avid gamer and maybe even has enough to start her own museum. Yes, please. Yes, please.
I think that's a contemplation, but it sounds like she has an amazing, amazing collection. And the pictures that we saw, pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yes, very impressed indeed with everyone on this list. Congrats to all of you. Yes. And if there's anyone we missed, any records we missed, please let us know. You can email us at stuffmediamomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter at momstuffpodcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff Mom Never Told You. Thanks as always to our super producer, Christina.
Thank you, and we're sorry.
As always. And thanks to you for listening. Stuff Mom Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.